Shiva is called the destroyer. What is it to destroy? The word is really misspelled. Originally it was to de-story. To remove your story is to destroy. The ego that tells the story about itself that isn't true. And so to destroy is to eliminate the untruth of a story that was a myth, which comes from the word mithya in Sanskrit, which means false. Mithya in turn comes from Maya. And yet, we love stories. We build buildings with many stories. And the more stories, the more value they have. And we love telling stories that locate us within a genealogy, a lineage, a tradition. The stories restore us. The story is a storehouse of values. And so all religions are stories, aren't they? Mythologies that are storehouses of the eternal values. But the values of what? Of that we have lost and which we must restore. But the restoration requires the transformation from story to reality. A story is a memory of a lost reality. An attempt to keep a flickering of a flame of that lost self somehow alive, so that the story, which is always a quest to refine the self, the source of life, can enable us to move one day from story to the real. The story keeps the burning of the heart alive. We burn for the truth that the story points to but never is. But because we don't know how or where to find the real, we keep trying to tell the stories that keep the quest as the ultimate horizon of our being, toward which we live, toward which we face. In religions, it is important where you face when you pray. A Muslim must face Mecca. Others must face Jerusalem. Everyone must face that site which is the holy place that is the origin of the story. But where does the story originate? And what is it that we must face? Is it not the face of God? And is not the face of God the very absence of God that requires us to fill in that absence with a story? But to restore ourselves to the real requires us to be able to endure the face of God, who is the destroyer of the story. And to endure in that everlasting emptiness, out of which the real emerges as royalty. Real and royal are the same word. And it is when we have burned away the stories, all the stories, the horror stories, the romantic stories, the religious stories, the stories of envy, the stories of desire, stories of power, stories of need. When all of those have burned away, what is left is the real. And that is the royalty, that is the sign of the self. And it is that sign that alone can restore a reality that all the stories point to, and inscribe anew the value that stories only represent and indicate as the truth of our being. And so when we meditate, we are destroying the stories of our ego. We are burning them in the eternal flame of presence that endures without diverting itself to a memory or to a hope or to some form of vanity that is a flight from the real, from the emptiness, from the presence, which is the sea of potential stories, but also realities. And it is that choice between story and the real that is the one choice that must be made that will determine your destiny. And meditation itself is the choice to be real, to be royal, to not depend upon a story in order to locate yourself in some mythology, but to become the source of the mythology that will flow in the wake of the real. But the wake is never felt by the ship that makes it. And that wake, which is the energy field, the new wave that is made as the source inscribes itself upon the ocean of its own potentiality, writes a new history. But this writing emerges out of the silence through which the infinite self that is beyond all stories can emerge.